Hello Aries, this is going to be your reading for the month of November. I am surprised because most of your cards are cups. So there's a lot of emotional stuff going on for you, for many of you in the month of November. Let me go through some of the channeled information that I received. One of the things that was said to me was, month of November is a final stop. And I didn't quite understand what that meant. But the more I tuned into that vision, the more I felt that in the month of November, many of you will be facing something that will require you to make a major decision, and the decision will not allow you to go back. In other words, there's going to be no going back in this. And whatever the decision is will eventually allow you to have a brand new beginning. Let me just tell you, you're not the only one. Many of the signs that I've done for the month of November have a brand new beginning. It's like people are leaving stuff behind. Stuff is leaving people behind because we are getting ready for something bigger, better, something more substantial, something more fulfilling. And it feels like you're no different. The other thing I kept seeing was the card of the idea of death. Not a physical death. This is not a prediction for somebody that's going to die. Somebody may, but it's got nothing to do with what I'm saying here. Death is a transformation. Death is a brand new beginning. It is a change, and it is a change that is requires you to be in transition, or it puts you in a position where you are going to feel like you are in transition from point A to point B. The other thing I heard was taking leap of faith. And what is fantastic here is that after 5 minutes of doing the cards afterwards, the card of leap of faith came through. And it seems to happen more and more. And whenever that happens, that's a huge confirmation for me and for you. I also saw that you are going to be taking a leap, and which is what I said, but there is a component of needing to persevere with something, and at the end of the day, it will offer you victory. So it seems like there's a bit of a battle going on, or certainly a need to be persistent and persevere. That's really, so it feels like some of you may go, you might go through something that's maybe not a party, let's put it that way. I'm not going to put words into it. I think you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. So let's go through the cards. I actually took a clarifier card, which I normally don't do, because I wanted to know, like, we've got all these cups, and I'm going, okay, tell me what it's about. And I'll tell you what it was. It's actually quite remarkable. Okay. In a position of your past, or what you are leaving behind. And for those of you who know me, I don't read cards traditional way. I have my own interpretation of it depending on what I need to say at any given moment. So if this card means something different to you, pertaining to your life, by all means go with that meaning. By what you're leaving behind is Ace of Cups. Now, Ace of Cups traditionally is love, it's commitment, it's compassion, all that great stuff. So I had to really feel this out. And I kept feeling, what is it that they're leaving behind? And what it came to me is that you're leaving behind a commitment. Commitment of an emotional nature. So for the most part, this would be commitment that you are heavily invested in or have been invested in, which isn't always about a romantic relationship. It can be a job or a career that you were heavily invested in, and emotionally it meant a lot to you. You've got most of your cards are emotional cards. They're all cups, with the exception of one, like I said. And so some of you are going to be leaving something that at some point seemed like a big promise, or seemed to offer you a big promise. And I'm not sure how far back I go. I want to say it's not a too distant past, so it feels like I don't think it's necessarily 30 years old, or it could be. Some of you may be leaving a marriage or a relationship that's 30 years old, and certainly what was once a great new beginning is no longer. So that was interesting. That was just a pause with a light. I'm not going to go on with this card because it's in the past. I want to move forward. In a position of now, you got two cards. And again, my interpretation of them is with two together. You've got Four of Cups in reverse and Two of Cups in reverse. So you have One of Cups or Ace of Cups as your past, and in your present you have Two of Cups and Four of Cups, both in reverse. When I saw this, I went, oh boy, let me take a clarifier card and see what this is about. You won't believe this. It's Two of Cups. It's what came up again. So there is definitely a breakdown in some kind of a relationship. Because the card of Four of Cups is coming up in reverse, and in this card it says boredom and discontent. It basically says in reverse as well that some of you, if not many of you, will be leaving a relationship in a month of November that has at one point meant a lot to you, that offered you a promise of new beginnings, that offered you the promise of a brand new future, brand new stability, but it seems it didn't live up to its expectations, or it ran its course, and that can happen as well. And because I asked for the clarifier card and Two of Cups came in, it's a union. We are talking about a commitment here. So it sounds like many of you feel you're not interested anymore in what once was. For some of you, this is a time where a relationship will end and may not have been your choice, but you have been bored and you have not felt content in it for quite some time. He's asking me to say the word job. So many of you will be at least thinking of changing your career. I heard the word career. So for some of you may have been in a certain career for quite some time, and you realize that it is no longer something that inspires you, something that drives you, something that enlightens you, and something that excites you. And you are at least contemplating a move forward in a new or different direction. This can also signify work, not a career, because to me, career and job are two different things. Job is job that we do. It doesn't have to be it's our career. Some of you may be ending a job, a long-standing job, or not long-standing, but I want to say long-standing job, and that seemed to be a promise of a brand new career at some time, but it turns out not to be the case, or it turns out that it's not what you thought it was going to be, and therefore the promise that was given to you is no longer, and you are choosing to part ways. There's definitely a separation here. A separation from work, separation from a loved one, separation from a friend, separation from could be a pet. It came up, so I'm going to say it. A separation from an organization, a separation of a community, anything that you were emotionally engaged in and emotionally invested in that meant a lot to you. And some of you may be asking, well, what about the pet? Pet doesn't divorce me. Yes, you're absolutely correct. I don't know what it is about the pet. The word came to me, so I said it. It's not something that normally comes in these types of readings on YouTube. So maybe you're going to be getting divorced, and if you have a pet, the other party is going to take the pet because you can't have it where you go, or there's a disagreement, or you fight over a pet. I don't know, but for some of you, there seems to be a pet involved. So I'm going to leave it at that. Now, what is driving this, or what is influencing you? You have the card of Three of Swords. So there's a heartache here. The reason why you're ending things, or the reason why things are ending, because there is a heartache. Now, I just heard the word betrayal. Does this card traditionally mean that? I don't know, but he said to say the word betrayal. So you may have felt betrayed by a friend, by a coworker, by your significant other, your spouse, by a family member, not a pet. I don't think pets betray us. At least that's my opinion. So there's definitely, for some of you, a sense of betrayal, and you're finding yourself with the need to move on. Separation is what's being shown to me. And it looks, obviously, separation is difficult. obviously. So, okay, he's asking me to say that not all of this is going to be like, oh my God, it's terrible. For some of you, this separation is going to be heaven sent. It is going to be the blessing in disguise. It is going to allow you to breathe again and to feel like you are free and to feel like you are meaningful or you mean something. So for some of you, the separation isn't actually a bad thing. And as a matter of fact, I don't feel the separation is a bad thing altogether, but it may feel slightly uncomfortable for some of you, if not for most of you, when we separate ourselves from certain components and certain relationships, even though it may not be good or healthy or we may not want it anymore. The act of separation itself is not usually bed of roses. It seems to offer its own sense of challenges because it's separation isn't easy. Even if you hate your job, and that's a strong word, even if you hate your job, if you decide to quit, the actual act of separating from the company may be hard because you're leaving your friends behind, your coworkers, some aspects that you really like. I mean, sure, you can hate everything about your job, but you can hate your job, but you can really love the people you work with. So what I'm trying to say is that there's a bit of a, even though for some of you the separation is going to be God sent, the actual act of separating may offer it with itself some challenges, which you will overcome. So it sounds to me like many of you are closing doors behind you, and which is interesting because when I saw the image of death or the symbol of death, that is certainly transformation. When we leave a relationship or a commitment that we have emotionally invested ourselves in for a long time or for a substantial amount of time, when the separation happen, whether it is because of our doing, it seems like it's your doing because the boredom card is on your end, not somebody else's, or because somebody else is doing it, and it could be that somebody else is doing it but you were bored anyway, that certainly can bring itself the feeling like you are you're in transition and you are going to go through a transformation. Because I don't think there is any relationship that is meaningful when it comes to its completion. I don't feel any separation is easy. I honestly don't. Like, even if you're separating from someone on great terms, there is a bit of disappointment. There is, you may miss the person. So you understand what I'm trying to say. Point is, month of November is very significant for many of you because you are coming full circle. For many of you, you have contemplated about this for quite some time, and you have come to the decision that there is no point in waiting any longer because it's inevitable. So you're choosing to cut your losses, if you will, rather than dragging this on indefinitely and enduring more pain down the road because it drags through and it creates its own, situations and disappointments and problems. So definitely some sort of separation. Now, the card of future, brilliant, because you have 3 of Cups. And this is a card of celebration. What does this mean? Rejoice and celebration. So many of you will enter into a brand new relationship. Maybe not right away, because this is future. Future can mean anywhere from November until, let's say 6 months from now. At least that's what I heard. So as a result of you separating from one situation, there are brand new beginnings. But if we look at life, every time we close one door always opens. Because there's always continuation. It may not be the same door, it may not be familiar door, but a door always opens. Once we leave something, once we end something, then eventually something else opens up. So it seems like a natural progression anyway. But the fact that you have this as a confirmation is actually quite tremendous. He's asking me to say, taking leap of faith. So many of you will be forming new partnerships, and this is some of you are going to be forming partnerships while you are realizing your goals. So this could be obviously career, this could be romantic relationship, yes. This also signifies that you're going to find yourself a lot more social in the month of November, December. Now, at the same time, most of us here, at least in North America, I believe, and Europe, I would say, celebrate Christmas. Not everybody, of course, but many people, let's just sit with that way, many people do. So the 2 months prior to Christmas is a time of festivities. So it makes sense to me that this is what you would be experiencing. But what I want to stress here is that because you will be leaving something behind, you will allow yourself to participate in these events or in social activities that much more. Maybe because you're not going to feel as tied down. Maybe because you're going to be looking to connect with like-minded people in order to find a brand new opportunity or to meet new people that are more on the same path as you right now. So this is actually quite fantastic. It's to be celebrated. It's to be embraced. I also hear, don't be afraid of saying no. Why are we saying this? Okay, some of you may be lured into something you don't want to do. So for example, some of you may be asked to stay the very relationship or commitment you are trying to leave. Do not feel obligated to say yes when you really want to say no. Hence, don't be afraid to say no. Some of you, particularly for those of you who are under the umbrella of pleasers, and I'm not going to go into the interpretation of what that is because I know all of you know. You guys are pretty intelligent. Some of you may feel obligated to say yes or oh, I just want to give it one more try. But when you really want to say no. So point is, don't be afraid to say no. If you feel something is not working for you and somebody's luring you, as I heard, to come back or to try it again, be very honest with yourself first and foremost, and also be very honest and transparent with the other party, whether it is a friend, a lover, relationship at work, workmate, whatever it may be, boss. Don't be afraid to say no, because you have a lot of new beginnings. I'm being shown. March seems to be very consistent. This is also 3. March seems to stand up for you, but I believe March is also when Aries has birthday, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure. So I wouldn't be surprised if by March you are not in a brand new beginning already, which could be relationship or it could be a work situation. Absolutely. Some of you will be participating or starting a brand new health regime. He wanted me to say this. And an example is being given here. Let's say you were in a relationship for a very long time and you kind of felt stuck and you let yourself go because you were bored and discontent. You know, once you separate or once some change happens in your life, you may very well kind of get yourself back into shape. So you might start joining a gym. You might start joining a band. I just heard joining a band. Okay, if you want to be in a band, for sure. This could be a hobby that you decide to pick up because you are no longer feeling constrained. Or you may decide to try something different and something new that you haven't been able to do it before for whatever reason. Point is that many of you will be starting a brand new health regime, and this could be not just physical health. This is also mental, spiritual, and emotional health. In the month of December, I'm hearing. Probably not a great time to start a diet, but hey, if you can make it through Christmas time on a brand new diet plan, my hat's off to you, because I certainly can't do that. So that's what he's asking me to say. Now, the card that represents what you are to focus on, what is important for you to know, is brilliant. This is the card of the deck Wisdom of the Oracle. This is Colette Reed. The card says here, come to the edge. This card basically says, take a leap of faith. This is time for you to face your fears and take leap of faith. This is a time for you to go into the uncharted territory. And if you feel afraid, that's okay. This is asking you to commit to yourself to be the best that you can be, which also means trying new things that may have in the past made you very fearful. Now, I always say this, it's kind of a joke, but I'm saying it, I mean it, because I don't want anybody to misinterpret me. Don't stand at the top of a building and pretend you can fly and then jump off because you think you have wings. That is not what I'm talking about. You know that, right? Unless it's a parachute. And that's a bit of a joke, but just, I always want to make sure that people don't misconstrue what I'm trying to say. But this is basically, life is asking you to come to the edge. Spirit is saying, now that you're free, now that you've let yourself go from your constrictions and restrictions, allow yourself to become something more, something you never thought you could be or you could do. Trying new ventures, trying a new relationship, trying a relationship with a different kind of an individual, trying a new career, trying a new job, trying a new position at a company, something that you've always felt you wanted to, but you felt you couldn't. And now it's time for you to try. And what they're saying here is this: if you don't try, you'll never know. Now, I will, again, not to be misconstrued, example is being given so that people don't get silly. If you are, don't apply for a job of a brain surgeon if you're a shoemaker, because that's not what we're talking about. And I feel like I have to say this because, but that's obvious. That's obvious. So I'm saying it with a bit of a smirk on my face, but he's asking me to kind of throw that in. So yes, but at the same time, if you've always worked, in a retail and you've always wanted to be a manager or a brand manager, by all means, if you have the knowledge, if you have the experience, by all means apply, because if you don't, you'll never know. Point is that, those of you who want to go higher, but you're afraid, you know, for the most part, whether it's something that you can work towards or whether it's something that's not. I think you guys got the point. And all of a sudden I'm seeing the scales. So that's balance again, balance. Scales, it's also fairness. It is also judgment. Judgment is also seeing the truth, the equalizing effect, the law of action and reaction, the law of fairness, law of fairness. Is that what I'm trying to say? Yes. Was it cause and effect? Sorry, I had to look at a clock. Cause and effect. I feel at the end of the day, you will feel that fairness was done, or justice was done. So maybe some of you have felt betrayed in a relationship, and somehow you're going to feel that fairness was done or justice was done. Not because something is going to happen to the other person, but because something good is going to come to you as a result of this happening, and then you leaving, and then you meet somebody that happens to be your partner for life, and it's the best thing since sliced bread. So like I said, for many of you, this is opportunity for you to have a brand new beginning. And some of what you might be going through will be blessing in disguise, which some of you may not recognize at the very beginning. Blessing in disguise, as the phrase suggests, it is in disguise. It's something we cannot see at the time, but something that becomes very apparent to us down the road, and we end up being very grateful for having gone through a transition. And I think that he's asking me to wrap up. I think that's all I have for you. So if that makes sense, by all means, please do comment down below. Doesn't mean that there's anything bad happening in your life, but it looks like many of you are going to be in transitions. Many of you are going to be breaking away from something that no longer serves you, and it definitely has a component of commitment to it. And if you feel stagnant, if you feel trapped, if you feel you have been unfairly treated, and if you feel with every fiber of your being that the situation is no longer for you, then it's time to move on, and it's time to take a leap of faith. Okay? I wish you best of luck. I hope this made sense. This may not make sense to you at the beginning, like I always say, but almost always makes sense towards the end of the month or beginning of the new month. If you would like a private session to see how this is within your life, by all means, that information is down below, and I would be more than honored. Thank you so much for everything, for sharing, liking, subscribing, watching, and for choosing me and choosing to listen to me, because there are a gazillion other amazing readers out there. So thank you so much, with much gratitude. I wish you best of luck in November, and I will see you in December. Take care.